Hi there, welcome to week 4 of the First Year Principal Book Club. So this year I decided to publish a book to help new and aspiring principals thrive as conscious leaders. And this week I want to talk about a couple of lessons in the book. So lessons 21 and 41. And they really relate or they address the importance of monitoring and striving for excellence, academic, instructional excellence, as well as well-being and a sense of belonging in the school. So today I want to talk about, there's different aspects to this. So first and foremost, let's talk about where you can get resources. How can you access the best support possible as a new principal? So I'm going to talk to you about how when I became a principal at an elementary school, I was new to the environment and coming from high school, and I was working in a kindergarten, senior kindergarten, junior kindergarten level. So it was kind of like a magnet school, if you will, and it was a whole other mindset, a whole other instructional approach. And I knew I needed to tool up and to get the resources I need, the support I need, not only with pedagogy and instructional leadership, but also in other aspects such as special ed, because addressing the needs of special ed children at that young age was not the same necessarily as addressing those needs with a high school student. Same thing for mental health. So what I did at the beginning to ensure excellence from day one, or to work towards excellence, was to seek the help of my board's resources. So there's many resources available to you. So there is of course, the district's instructional coach, the lead coach, and I tapped into her resources, her knowledge with respect to curriculum and instructional leadership approaches, what to look for. She reviewed with me my school's plan, you know the the school's plan, for instructional leadership and for development. So we went over that, and we also reviewed what was happening in the classrooms. So I did a walkthrough with her, and we looked at how the classrooms were set up for the students. It was done in obviously a non-threatening way, where I could learn. The teachers welcomed her as well. We were just having an open discussion. So from day one, I had the experts come in. So in this case, this was for instructional leadership. The school's improvement plan. That's what I wanted to say. So she reviewed the school's improvement plan with me. So we walked around the school, we went into the classrooms, I started taking notes. And from there, we just started laying the foundation, because I was learning. I had a beginner's mind when it came to being an instructional leader at that level. And so we had this conversation, we observed, we made a few adjustments in the classroom with respect to the layout and where we would put certain signs and activities, etc., to make it more um, pedagogically sound for the students, etc. So that was the first layer. Then I met with my teachers, we had the discussions, and lo and behold, slowly but surely, the classrooms were being transformed into different learning spaces that were more user-friendly for the students. They were becoming brighter, lighter, and it was more of a student-centered approach to pedagogy, which was beneficial to the child. And throughout the year, I kept tapping into her resources and her expertise, and she would, speak to the staff and do some mini trainings during staff meetings as well. So that's what I mean by tapping into your board's resources. Another precious resource is your special ed team. We had students who were acting out at a very young age. And again, coming from the high school level, I was like, oh my goodness, how do you handle this? Thinking, oh, they're only JK, SK, how can it, can't be that bad. Well, Yes, it can be, because it's a whole different mindset, a whole different approach. So again, I tapped into the resources. I had some specialists, behavioral specialists come in. I filled out the reports. I, tapped into these resources. They came in. We had a schedule organized for these observation periods. We met as a team. We discussed. It was a very interesting learning process. And we were helping the students, the teachers thrive at the same time. So again, you're not the lonely only. You have to realize that to ensure excellence in your school, you have to reach out and get the support you need from day one. So make sure you know who is your instructional lead, who will you go to for pedagogy, who will you go to for your special ed support, your mental health and wellness, who's the lead, who will be the lead there. So these are all very important resources to add to your toolkit. And in doing so, as I had them come into the school, talk with the staff, observe, getting to know the students, getting to know the culture of the school, we were able to form an alliance and work together as a team, as a collective, to help everyone thrive. Now, how do you keep monitoring? Well, obviously this is an iterative process, but one of the most basic ways you can monitor is to step outside of your office and even schedule it in, and do walkthroughs. And I've talked about this many times. I talk about it in my book. I talk about it in vlogs. When you conduct walkthroughs intentionally, and sometimes they're spontaneous as you're walking in the morning, or you're going to get a cup of coffee and you see somebody in the classroom and you walk in, those are spontaneous. But when you do mindful walkthroughs, you can be intentional where, listen, you'll plan it with the teacher, saying, I'm going to come in and visit, even though you're instructing. I like to come and say hello to the students and observe. It doesn't mean you're evaluating. You just want to know what's happening in your school. And if your teachers or your support staff, if they need any extra help. So this is really interesting. I always brought my phone with me because I love taking photos and posting those photos on our social media stories to give a behind the scene, to pull back the curtain and show parents what beautiful work we were doing in the school. But it's great. And I'm going to give you an example of one walkthrough. And this was after we had the instructional lead come and guide us a little bit. And the reason I had the instructional lead come in, and I forgot to mention this, was that I had there was a lot of turnaround in that school. It's just a school where a lot of young teachers would come in and try their hand out at this level, this grade level, and then either they loved it or it wasn't for them, and then they left. So it was a new staff, and so we all needed to start on the right foot with the proper instructional practices. So as I did a walkthrough after meeting this instructional coach, I was looking around, and I remember walking into one classroom, and I noticed that, and I talk about this in the book, I noticed that one early childhood educator had created this really cute, adorable play area. And it was it was a little stand, kind of like a lemonade stand, It was made out of these wooden crates, and she had painted them white. And the wooden crates, and then there were like two little boards sticking up, and one on the top, so perfect to hang a sign, for example. And these boxed crates, which were painted, were perfect. They were little shelving units. And since it was such a blank slate, every month she transformed this little kiosk into different stations. So once it was a pizzeria, it was once a shoe store, a glasses eyewear store. If you're from Canada, you might know Tim Hortons. So it was a Tim Horton coffee shop at one point. And what was really great about this was that the students were involved in creating it. So the students would write out the sign, and they would write out the little labels to identify what kind of coffee it was, or what kind of shoes or glasses. So it wasn't perfect. It didn't look all pretty with all the little fonts and the stickers. It was really, really very basic, but the students created it all. And that's what was very rich. And when I showed this photo to the instructional lead, because I took a photo of it and I sent it to her, she said, yes, this is exactly what you need. This child needs to create this environment. It has to be a student-centered approach, even at that young age. And so the ECE had gotten it. And so I wouldn't have known to take these photos if I hadn't had that training. And my staff also benefited from this training because they were implementing the lessons for the students. So this is how you monitor, right? You're looking for these little gems. And of course, if you're seeing something like, okay, these signs are too high for the students, or there's too much clutter, these are also things you can monitor. And then at a different time, meet with the teacher or the instructional team, and then say, listen, how about we try a different approach, etc. And then you can have that one-on-one talk. But you can only do this as you're monitoring, as you're doing these mindful walkthroughs and or spontaneous walkthroughs as well. And these walkthroughs are super beneficial, very beneficial, after you've had this training, after you've had these rich conversations with people from your district, from your board, who are the specialists. So you've been fed all this great information, you've done your reading, you've done your research, you're tooling up, and then as you're walking through, your lens now is sharp. You know what you're looking for, and you know what you don't want, and you can speak with authority. And that's how you start improving your school and ensuring that you're leading towards excellence. Okay, so that is today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to check out the other previous week's lessons as well. And it's all part of the First Year Principal Book Club. If you want to do a deeper dive into these types of lessons, make sure to check out my classroom. It's called learnwithdaphne.thinkific.com, and you can find the link on this page. Take care and bye for now. See you next week.